cosmic joke. How in the world did this many people get caught in this bullshit? Billions of people walking around thinking they're separate and competing with each other, but they're the same thing. In its simple form, it is the simplest of forms, but the simplest reference would be, instead of thoughts just happening and you follow them and you just live in the thoughts and moving from the thoughts and agreeing and disagreeing with yourself and others and just moving through the world from thoughts. It's actually one of the first steps of it is to notice that the thoughts are there and they're coming and going. So you move from a being that's following thoughts to and fro to a being that's witnessing thoughts come and go. And you can also maybe emotions, instead of anger coming up and you being angry and moving through the world angry, anger can come up, but you'll see anger has come up and you'll witness anger coming up. You won't be the anger, or you won't be the sadness, or you won't be the whatever else is going on, whatever, the grief. You'll be aware of it, consciously aware of it, or something will be consciously aware of it. And so, for example, anger comes and goes, so it's there, then it's not, so it's not intrinsically true. Your thoughts come and go, and sometimes there's a gap between them. So they're not ultimately true because they come and go. And on top of that, we don't know where they go to or come from. And so intrinsically, they're not real. But the witness is real because it's always here. And when you recall your childhood or a moment in your childhood, it's the witness that's remembering that or seeing that. When you dream of a holiday or what's going to happen in 2 years, or the house is painted or whatever else is going on, the end of it, it's the witness that's envisioning that and seeing that. It's not a separate you. So it's a constant. It's always here. As long as the faculties are here, witnessing is here. But is witnessing... it's here, but are we aware of it, or are we lost in the emotions, lost in the thoughts, which are transient? They're not ultimately real. So the witness is what's aware of that. And not living as the witness, which is what we are. It's much closer to what we are than the thoughts or the emotions or the feelings. They are a long way off. The witness is closer to what we actually are, or it's the doorway back to what we are. But if you could purely witness all the time and still interact through the world, that's quite an advanced state. Although it doesn't sound like much, it's quite an advanced state for somebody to attain. And it's the ending of somebody too, because at some point it becomes quite clear that these are just passing things through this sensory organism. And just like a bird flies by and makes a noise with its wings or chirps, it becomes like this. And then the body-mind, through the witnessing the body-mind, you even start to get a bit of distance from that. And you see, I'm not the body-mind. I'm what's aware of the body-mind. Just like it starts off with, I'm not the thoughts, I'm not these emotions, I'm not these feelings, I'm the witness of them. At some point, it slowly unveils that you're not the body-mind either. But that's from inwards. I'm saying these words, but these are inward discoveries in learning to remain the witness. These discoveries arise. This is a temporary form, comes and goes. The witness is part of something much bigger that isn't bound by time and space. And time and space, let's call it time and space as something real for now, is absolutely dependent on something else, and it has a parent. But most people don't realise that. They're in their bodies, in time, in space, in mind, in thoughts, in activity, in conquests, self-pity, just living a life in a roller coaster, unaware of the space around the roller coaster and what it arises in. And so the witness is the stepping into that, into the seeing of that. Stepping from somebody into something, aware of something. And you probably know very few people that are living this way. Very few. Or even or have it at any constant level. That's why it can even sound like such a strange thing to fresh ears. Everybody's living as egos, identities, garnishing them as much as they can. Whereas the witness, it's what we are prior to all that. And it's peaceful and it's restful, and it's not a zombiehood or anything. It's a deeper level, deeper dimensions of reality, heading into reality now, instead of the fantasy of the ego, of the I, of the separation, which is a series of movements, a series of ideologies, a series of unchecked thoughts, a series of following emotions and feelings everywhere. And we've been taught all that is somebody instead of what it is, patterns. That we have no choice over, they just happen. So witnessing unveils that, it reveals that the lie, it reveals the lie. And it's simple, it's silent, it's the end of beliefs, it's not you witness and then you discover Neptune or this, that, the other. It's purely here now experience with whatever's happening. There's no dogma to be added to it. The dogma is identification, really. You see, it's backwards. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And so then people, the witness state is meditation. You find it through meditation, you find it through mindfulness. And you can through contemplation, but contemplation is engaging the faculties, the intellectual faculties and experience to look deeper. But it really is using the brain against itself or the mind against itself a bit. But so meditation and mindfulness are the most common paths. Self-inquiry and contemplation can almost be put together, really. Self-inquiry is who am I, what am I, who do these thoughts arise to, where do they come from, where do they go. It's very important questions to find the answer of if you don't know. And you're living a life, I think it's important to at least have some cursory understandings or primitive understandings of all this just to have somewhat of a true life. instead of just the assumption, it's me and I and the suffering that goes with that. The good news is our natural state, attained through our ongoing awareness and witnessing, is a very buoyant and upbeat one, and very light, and very, 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 very cool. That's good news. That means this is actually a cool place after all. If truth feels wonderful, that's good news, right? That even your caring of that drops away. It doesn't matter. Like if it's not feeling great, it doesn't matter so much. If you're feeling great, it doesn't matter so much. It's just things are as they are. But the default seems to be feeling very well. And blissful even. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Bliss. Being, consciousness, bliss. Very old phrase, right? They have words in the East where we take a sentence to say. They have one word for it. This is what they do. They know. Known this for thousands of years. It's this big strange mystery to the West, but it's actually old information, very old. It's one of the reasons a lot of these countries don't develop very much, because they understand there's a much deeper fabric, so they're not so concerned about the materialistic side of things. So the West may frown upon a lot of these cultures, but it's because they just don't care that much about the materialism. They have deeper things they're more concerned about. They're taught from a young age. You know, they'll hear whispers of it and even open dialogue about it, or even go find people that say you're not the body-mind. It's knowledge from a young age. Intellectual that is to be found experientially. In our culture, you attain nirvana by running into each other at top speed and catching a ball. But it doesn't work. Bodies break. It's fleeting. It's ego. It's not nirvana. Very different. But we have some wonderful, our culture has some wonderful advantages, and the mix of the two seems to work pretty good. Our beautiful rationality and structure can be used very well for this. A structured, logical progression way of the West is very, very good for this work. And to it has to be dropped. It has to be dropped also. And take you up near the doorway. The gateless gate, as it's called. And it is like that. You feel yourself moving through them. It's a very subtle movement in those transitions. And I remember them quite clearly, where I'm somebody and then there's this shift of consciousness and then you're not. And it's like the gateless gate's quite a good word for it. It is the transition. The world that you were in just seems ridiculous and painful. Who you think you were seems ridiculous, because it is. And the cosmic joke, how in the world did this many people get caught in this bullshit? It's just amazing. Just absolutely stunning. Just really, really is. And I was caught in it too. What a bizarre circus. What a strange circus humanity is. With billions of people walking around thinking they're separate and competing with each other, but they're the same thing. You see it here, it's all the same thing. You'll even see the sound and you're hearing my words, you're looking at me, and you might have some smells around you and some sounds around you and some feelings on your body. They're all the same substance. All identical substance. And, I've heard them called photoplasms by science, or you could call them, like bioplasma. It's all the same thing. One substance, and then what that arises in, and they're both the same thing also. One's activated, one's not. You see all this for yourself at some point. My assumption is people see this. I see this. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else that finds it. And I saw the source of it too. I got gifted that. I saw where it was coming from. But behind that is nothing. And this vastness, this nothingness is incredibly alive and beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Very alive, very intelligent, very bright. Just the rest you've been looking for the whole time and didn't know you were looking for it. Like when you put your head on the pillow and when the body's so tired, and it's just that beautiful, beautiful rest, like that for times 10, and ongoing. And people are afraid of it. It's interesting. People are very afraid of it, but it really is like that night. You need to be about as afraid of it. It's really the ego in its death throes usually, as afraid of as you are as going to sleep at night after a hard day's work. It should be that scary because it's that level of rest ongoing. It's just like that. But you're not asleep. You're wide awake. That sigh, that out breath, that let go. It's divine, it's beautiful. Nothing of the human form or the human world and the human mind, if you want to call it the human mind. But for argument's sake, let's call it that. Everything there is just feels so, I don't know. Yeah, the scratching and scrambling just seems like a world away. It is a world away. It's dimensions away. And absolutely unnecessary. And so the witnessing is the first step back into this. Well, that's what it's like. That's the progress. So with witnessing comes awareness. You start to become aware. Well, why am I thinking this? Why am I doing this? And the autopilot, you turn the autopilot off and you actually become the pilot. a broken autopilot, just doing whatever pops up. You get hold of the controls again, and then at some point you realise you never had any controls in the first place. But that's later on. So when we have the machine mind, which is the mechanics of what we were given, we have free will. We have free will, and we're doing this and we're doing that. We're coming and throwing and controlling everything. And once that mechanical mind dissipates in the deeper dimension of awareness, and the awareness of the deeper dimensions is the realization of the non-mechanical mind that is unattainable from the mechanical mind there never was any choice in any of this. How would that make sense if it's all one thing? Where's the choice? You're simply behaving from robotics and bumping into other people behaving from robotics. And you become aware of that as you become more of the witness, and the mechanics reveal themselves. You still have to make food and all these things, and give your dog and your cat a cuddle and your partner a cuddle, and all that. That's all great stuff. But there's a different awareness that arises. And you realise even when you've changed your mind, that wasn't free will, that was also predetermined. And there can be a tremendous resistance to that if we're really attached to our mechanical mind and who we think we are. Or there can actually be the realisation of what great rest and freedom that actually brings. For a more advanced mind, it would be, or a being would say, that actually really takes the pressure off and really makes things much simpler and easier. I can actually just enjoy. I can really enjoy this life, enjoy this experience. And I don't have to worry, and things will get taken care of. You'll still make breakfast, you'll still pay the bills, etc., etc. There may be a short period where you don't do any of that, which I went through, but the other side of it, that all starts to happen again. The transition. That was me. Some people, it's much simpler, I think. And so I think that it's important to keep pursuing exactly what you're doing, and do it as much as you can. And what you'll start to notice is the people you're interacting with in your work and all the rest of it, how mechanically they're working, and you might start to see they don't have a choice. They can only behave this certain way. Their conditioning in this exact moment leads to this exact response, and it can't be any other way. You'll start to notice that everywhere. And so the game we're playing is getting that conditioning into the highest state we can get it. So even this is a part of that loop, this conversation. There's deeper dimensions, okay. And that gets absorbed into the machine mind for a while, and then it helps dissipate the machine mind, the mechanical mind. The suffering mind as well, the default mode network that just worries and dramatizes things and worries about the future and the past and how people see us and are we getting enough X, Y, Z. The blah blah circuit, that starts to fall apart. And you have more peace. And you go, this is great. I'll continue. Some people have great disturbances, and the trick is to just ride them out and keep going, because they're actually upheavals that are happening, healings that are happening, and to recognise what they are, and just keep doing the same work over and over. And even just the level you're talking about right now of just seeing and wondering why I'm doing something, it doesn't make sense. And sometimes it does make sense, but there's an awareness of it now. That's changing your life. So even if there's not an awakening that happens in this life, your life has still been changed, improved. You're regaining self, true self, capital S, not little self, me, the big self. You're stepping towards big self. Out of compressed self. And that's the point of this whole thing here. That's what this is. Whether people realise it or not, that's the facts of what we're doing here. This is an evolutionary space. The Earth is an evolutionary space. And if you're not doing that, then you're absolutely wasting this experience here. But you have no choice in that either. People don't have any choice in it. Their conditioning is going to let them hear, or it's not. They're going to get disturbed and run, or they're not. They're going to have bliss, or they're not. It's just. So I just present the information. There's an energy field that the sensitive can feel here, and between those two things, we can make great strides towards big self. That the energy here is the big self energy. And so that soaks into the crystallized lockdown stuff and softens it all up. So it's super important to, even if enlightenment is not your goal, to at least be witnessing and seeing and living in the highest state you can, the highest consciousness you can. To not seek higher consciousness is absolute foolishness. And unfortunately, the world is full of fools. It's just foolishness not to be seeking the higher. The deepest you can be into being. It's absolute ignorance. And I was guilty of that for quite some time, but I didn't know any better. Once you know better, you know better. Once you know it's available and it exists and there are people living in different dimensions of reality, while you can't even tell by looking at them. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's not moving through the world the same. And people that are moving through the world very deeply usually hide it very well, because there's so many fools in the world. They just want trouble and jealousies and all this crap. So they hide and they look like everybody else. They don't want to deal with the fuckwits.